whose jail she regularly graced to hold Sunday night meetings for prisoners. Everyone at the jailhouse, sheriff, jailer, even the inmates, affectionately called her Lyra. Can you say that your mom was on a first-name basis with bank robbers, extortionists, burglars, vagrants, gamblers, hot check artists, flim-flam men, public drunks, and chicken thieves? My mom got Christmas cards of every sort. Our mail carrier claimed ours was the only house in town receiving scores of cards sharing the same return address, County Jail. "Sheriff," Mom began her request, "these prisoners aren't doing you or themselves any good by lying around this jailhouse. I know a way they could improve themselves and the community." Presenting her case, she persuaded the sheriff to release his inmates, including repeat offenders, to her custody. Then my mom, weighing all of 100 pounds, led these men by herself to the messy lot where the bricks lay strewn. She instructed the inmates to pick up the bricks, clean them with chisels, and not run away. Then she took off the handcuffs. Not one man fled. Can you imagine? A bunch of criminals obeying the command of an old woman, uniformed in a flower print dress, instructing them to chip cement from piles of fallen bricks? Passers-by did double takes at these motley wards of the county, overseen by a warden wearing an apron. Those men respected and honored my mom because they sensed her love for them. She was a bright spot in their lives. They looked forward to her shuffling into the jail every Sunday night, singing the Lord's praises and preaching His gospel. My mom ministered to a congregation separated from her by vertical bars that kept the bodies of inmates inside, but couldn't keep out her spirit. If Norman Rockwell had made movies, he would have filmed in Bowling Green. When I watch present-day television with its surplus of sex and violence, I'm reminded of Thursday nights during summers when townsfolk gathered on grass to watch celluloid classics. Dr. Pepper Bottling Company sponsored this community viewing of black and white films directed by Frank Capra or Cecil B. DeMille. Their endings were always predictable, but never boring. Good always triumphed over evil. The old, brittle film strips broke frequently, but the crowd, mostly work-weary parents holding sleepy youngsters, waited patiently while a projectionist fumbled by flashlight to rethread the reel. To my wide, expectant eyes, heroes never failed. A larger-than-life John Wayne or Randolph Scott overwhelmed the flimsy screen that quivered in the breeze. The aroma of popcorn mingled with the fragrance of newly cut grass. The smell of alcohol or smoldering marijuana, take it for granted at many of today's community functions, was unimaginable in 1940s Bowling Green. There were folks in Bowling Green whom I didn't know, but there were no strangers. People weren't wary of each other back then. Besides work and Christianity, sports played an important role in my childhood. I was consumed with baseball and basketball. As a teenager, I attended Oklahoma City University on a full athletic scholarship, but higher education was not among my foremost thoughts. My mind was purely in the games. I played basketball year-round. When winter came and the weather got cold, my buddies and I broke into what was then the second-largest high school gymnasium in the state. Knowing that the doors would be locked on weekends, I simply unlocked a window on Friday nights. My cronies and I would enter the window most Saturday and Sunday afternoons and play basketball for hours. And then there were other weekends when I was the only one on the gym floor inside the cavernous hall that seated 5,500. Mom knew where I was. What she didn't know was how I got in there. And she certainly would have deflated my basketball if she'd known that the law would call my method breaking and entering. The echo of my solitary dribbling inside the hollow room sounded as big as my sports ambitions. My dreams of someday playing on that court in a real game rose higher than the dome ceiling. So I continued, running and shooting solo, a one-man team against an imaginary squad that I always beat. I did that for years and never once got caught, not even by Mom. On January 3, 1996, I took Feed the Children's television crew to a remote part of Kentucky, far removed from the shadow of modern Bowling Green's office towers and chain hotels. The shade in this place came instead from towering oaks that concealed